All right, hello everyone. We are streaming with you here because we are tracking a severe thunderstorm warning that is now moving through Nassau County and it is heading towards Duval County. I'm Meteorologist Lee Southwick. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. We ask you all to stay weather aware today because these thunderstorms that pop up do have the possibility of becoming severe. And lo and behold, here we have this severe thunderstorm warning. So this severe thunderstorm warning was located 8 miles northwest of St. George, 12 miles west of Hilliard, and it's moving at 35 miles an hour. The risks with this thunderstorm: 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and small hail, penny-sized hail. As for wind gusts of 60 miles an hour, what that can do is it can knock out power lines and cause some power outages because it can knock branches out of trees. It can cause debris to fly, especially if it's loose outdoor items that aren't secure. So winds of 60 miles an hour and penny-sized hail. That is for the severe thunderstorm warning that we are watching right now. And again, it is moving at 35 miles an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it and we're going to put a track on this. So let's take a look here. Make this go at 35 miles an hour. Because it is heading into Duval, parts of Jacksonville. All right, so it looks like it's going to reach Kent at 2:20 p.m., Ratliff at 2:31, Nassau Village at 2:32, the Jacksonville Airport, JAX, at 2:42, and White House at 2:53 p.m. So again, this is moving to the southeast, and it's moving at 35 miles an hour. Penny-sized hail and winds of 60 miles an hour possible. So now I also want to give us a look around at some of the cameras in the area. So let's go to Hilliard. Give me one moment here. We're going to take a look at all of our cameras that we have. Okay. Let's see if it wants to load up. It might not be ready to go. We'll pull that in a second. But here's the big picture. So some of you haven't had any rain yet, and you're dealing with hot temperatures out there. Others of you across southeast Georgia, you've already had the rain. We had a severe thunderstorm that was just to our west, and then that storm, still associated with this storm too, it moved south of Waycross. Still some lightning strikes were in the area. And then this storm has continued to move to the southeast, and now it's starting to pick up again in its intensity. And so that's why we have a severe thunderstorm warning now in effect as it's crossing into Florida. And so again, winds of 60 miles an hour now possible with this, as well as penny-sized hail. Let's see if we can get the camera up now. There we go. So this is a look at Hilliard where it's raining. Kind of tough to see that weather stem camera. We have anything else in the area? I'm going to look around for you guys. So this is just the only one we have out of Hilliard. Callahan, heads up, that's heading towards you next. And I'm going to get a look at give you just a look at what it looks like in Callahan right now. Some dark, ominous skies out there as the rain is on the way. Hey, meteorologist Ross Mooma walking in. I'll give him a second to get set up, but he is joining me. So this is a look at Callahan. You can see the dark skies out there, the dark clouds, as of course this is moving in closer and closer to you. So I'm going to zoom back into the area, the warned area. So Hilliard and Callahan, you're in the main path of this storm. We're going to keep an eye on Yulee, on Fernandina, and then of course across Duval County. So the Jacksonville Airport just outside of this warning polygon, but that's where it would be moving in next. You can see with this general direction. And then eventually likely towards places like Mayport, out towards the beaches, and some rain likely moving down towards downtown Jacksonville too. So you can see here, I'm going to put a wider track, not just with the severe thunderstorm warning, but let's get a whole look here. Kind of looks like it's moving maybe more like kind of to the east more. Let's see what this says. So Nassau Village at 2:32, Jacksonville Airport at 2:43, Yulee Heights at 2:46, Yellow Bluff Fort at 3:07, and then Mayport at 3:18. So Ross, I do think this will hold together to reach the beaches. So this is just the beginning of people are tuning in and they're in Atlantic Beach or Jacksonville Beach, and they're saying, what are you talking about? It's still a great beach day out here. We need them to know that this is on the way.
Yeah, I mean, so I just drove into work a couple minutes ago, and coming down 95, because I live up by the airport, there was certainly an ominous look to the sky out there, and you showed it there pretty well. Is that the Callahan camera that you had previously? I mean, it's looking pretty dark out there. So whether this maintains its, severe thunderstorm warning strength or not, pushing out those wind gusts, 45 to 55, close to 60 miles per hour. Even if that's not the case, it's still going to be a gusty storm. Also warned for penny-sized hail. Hail's really not the main threat, but the gusty winds, very, very heavy rainfall, especially for anyone driving up and down the I-95 corridor, likely within about the next, 30 minutes to hour and a half or so. I mean, this will be the main brunt of the storm, but as Lee kind of pulled it out there and show you the broader picture, the line along this frontal boundary is all going to slowly be making its way off to the southeast. So although this might be the first round of rain we see here this afternoon, it may not be the last. Even if you look off to the northwest, Valdosta has a little isolated cell there. So we'll see if some of these backfill a little bit. You kind of get outflow boundaries riding out behind these sometimes. If there's still enough moisture and instability or heating left behind the actual front, sometimes you can still get a few of those trailing storms, but the majority of them will kind of be along this front. And this is pretty much where we had highlighted yesterday, Lee, that the northern part of the Swanee Valley, southern Okefenokee, was likely going to have the best chance for rain, get the brunt of the storms. So my assumption is kind of that most of these will kind of hang on to their strength until at least the I-10 corridor. And then as we start to get a little bit later in the afternoon, the cloud cover begins to kind of lessen the instability, at least a hair. Although this is, kind of synoptic driven. Nonetheless, I do expect these things to kind of gradually weaken as they head further off to the south. So eventually, folks in Bradford County or Clay, Putnam, St. John's, you're still going to see some storms, but what we have kind of been, forecasting the last day or two and still expecting here today is that most of these will gradually begin to weaken. But nonetheless, if you are in southern Charlton County, Nassau County, northern Duval, take the severe thunderstorm warning seriously here. Again, it's warned for those 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, penny-sized hail, and frequent lightning also going to be a big risk here today as well, Lee.
Yeah, and Ross, you were talking about, how not everyone completely in the clear, but likely what you're talking about where their risk goes down. You can see that here from the Storm Prediction Center. This afternoon, they did bump up parts of our area under that yellow, which is a level 2 out of 5. And something that not the Storm Prediction Center is talking about, but the National Weather Service is talking about, and we have talked about before, is the risk of an isolated, brief tornado. The risk of a tornado is so low. But when we see these collide with the sea breeze, you can get a little bit of rotation there. So I think you would agree that today, the severe weather risk, more so on the side of strong winds, maybe some hail, but we will have to watch out for the possibility of a little bit of rotation when they start to collide with the sea breeze.
Yeah, because our predominant flow today is out of the southwest or west, right? Do you have the surface winds?
Yes, I can
over there. You don't have to rush or anything, but our overall surface flow is out of the southwest and west. It's been kind of breezy out there, but that's really not providing enough vertical directional wind shear to develop. So yeah, this paints a great picture. You can kind of see not only the strong flow out of the west, but might really keep that sea breeze packed in right along the beaches. So that isolated tornado risk that Lee was just talking about, it really might only be those, extreme coastal areas that have that chance, just because with how the winds, can kind of feed into the updraft sometime. This is not the most conducive wind dynamic wise to see those tornadoes develop, which is good news for us, right, Lee?
Definitely.
But yeah, I think still a good point, something we should watch out for there. Whew, still a lot of juice though.
Yes, with the instability, that's what we got to watch out for these storms. It is hot out there. Now, of course, places like Waycross already saw the rain and the cloud cover, so they dropped down into the 80s, but that storm's about to head over Jacksonville Airport, where it is 92 degrees right now. Mayport, 97 degrees. So you think about all the instability instability out there, and then the possibility of maybe with that sea breeze, if it moves in towards Mayport, the rotation that's possible. Also, of course, since we're showing temperatures, Ross, I just want to show the heat index.
105 at Mayport. My goodness.
Rough. So really hot and humid day. Some of you might be tuning in saying, oh, are they streaming because it's so hot outside? And yes, we know that. But of course, what we are here for is the severe thunderstorm warning.
They have shrunk that warning a little bit now. Yeah, so you see the updated one. So most of Charlton, just kind of besides that far southern extent, has been taken out of it. So they've just shrunk it down a little bit.
All right, I'm going to pause this and put another path. On their update, did they say they were at 35 miles an hour? Are they still going with that?
Let me look here quick. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's do this at 35. Draw the path here.
And again, heavy rain, lightning, and the wind gusts are going to be the main threat. So especially on the leading edge of this, you could see those wind gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. So if you have anything outdoors right now, or you yourself are outside or going to be here shortly, certainly bring yourself in along with any of those, perhaps potted plants outside or anything like that might get blown over. That could certainly be the case with this storm.
Exactly. Trash cans, all of that stuff, that lightweight items, they can blow around quickly with these winds of 60 miles an hour. Some frequent lightning. Let's see if I can actually put a track of how much lightning we have had. Now, I will say, Ross, there's still a lot of lightning, and of course, one lightning strike is dangerous, but it's not as much lightning as we saw popping in this storm when it was over southeast Georgia.
Okay.
But still.
So it's coming, and that's typically a good sign if you have a decrease in the amount of lightning. Generally, the storm core is beginning to at least weaken a little bit. That's not a foolproof thing, but it typically is a good sign.
And so it looks like we have 47 strikes. I think I don't even remember the track, but when we were watching this, even back in the noon show, there was a ton of lightning in this. But of course, as it moves into downtown Jacksonville, it's a little bit hotter out there now, maybe a little bit more instability. We're going to have to watch the cloud cover. In fact, actually, what am I doing? Let's pull up a live look outside. Let's see if this will load. Just all across the First Coast to look at where you are. Because some of you in St. Augustine might, again, be saying, I don't know what they're talking about when it comes to rain.
Yeah, elsewhere it looks great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Waycross looks beautiful. And it's cooler there too right now, so that's great. But Baldwin, the cloud cover moving in. Jacksonville Beach, you can see people out at the beach. So just, if you could do Ross and I a favor, if you're watching and you have friends or family who are at the beach, they're probably having a great time. They're unaware of the storm moving in, but this storm that we're tracking will make it to the beach. Don't know if it's going to be severe or not by the time it does, but still, lightning, gusty winds, heavy rain, just give them that heads up that a storm is moving in their direction. This, Ross, do you remember how long this next warning goes until? I know the original warning was until 2:45. Yeah,
I think so. It still goes till 2:45. I think they just kind of cut off the back end of that warning. So yeah, another 15 minutes left on this. But the downtown Jacksonville shot, that is to show you of at least what is to come here throughout the rest of this afternoon and into the early evening. I will say, for anyone who has evening plans or dinner plans outside tonight, especially in and around Jacksonville, we do expect these storms to have moved through and pushed off to the south and southeast as early as perhaps 5 o'clock, but certainly by 6 and 7. So we know we got the jumbo shrimp at home over here later tonight. It's not a bring your cat game, but I knew Leah was going to be a little upset about that. But
every night should be bring the cat night.
Yeah, but the good news is that these storms are going to be out of here, so I don't expect a delay or the game to be canceled or anything like that. So evening plans should be all right. It's really just going to be about the next hour or two that we're dealing with these storms, at least in and around the Jacksonville metro and in and around that I-10 corridor. After, I would say, 4:30, close to 5 o'clock, these storms are all going to start to move a little bit further southward. So places like Middleburg, Julington Creek, Orange Park, Mandarin, St. Augustine even, that's going to be closer to your window to potentially seeing some of these storms begin to move through. So you still have a little bit of time if you live in those areas. If you live in Jax or the west sides, up by the airport, Callahan, Hilliard, you're seeing it all here right now, or shortly will be very, very soon.
Yeah, it looks like kind of hard to tell with this path Lake City when it looks like a few of these little storms now popping in your way. Let me see. Let me move this out to the west. Lots of lightning right there associated with that thunderstorm.
And it's a little bit of a tricky thing, right? Because the front is almost moving almost due south, but the storms themselves are moving in a pretty eastward,
Yes.
component there along the front. So although they are slowly going to make their way south, the actual storm movement is much more west to east.
And you know what I was looking at earlier while you were talking? I hope I didn't distract you while I was doing so, but I was trying to pull up hail with these storms too, because they talk about the penny-sized hail. Let's see if we can see any hail popping up. All right, so actually that one where we see lightning flashing to the east of Jasper, our radar trying to show us that there might be some hail associated with that storm. Don't see too much hail now where that thunderstorm. Let's see. There's a severe thunderstorm warning, and you can see originally when they first redrew the polygon.
There was
a little bit, but yeah, it looks like that's now starting to diminish as well. So, I mean, that's good. But let me pull back up the rain.
Do you happen to have the storm core, Lee? If you don't, that's fine.
I can find it. Give me 1 second.
Because I also just noticed, I was looking at the reflectivity on my phone here as well, and you can kind of see, especially over the St. George and Hilliard area, the bright reds and oranges have diminished at least a little bit or broken up some. So now that severe warned storm over Nassau County, or at least the western half of the county, the reflectivity itself doesn't look nearly as impressive. So that should be a good sign that once this does hit the Jacksonville Airport area, up near Duval Station, Ocean Way, Pecan Park, areas like that up on the north side, it should be perhaps a little bit weaker, but still nonetheless prepare for, I would say at a minimum, 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. Again, this is warned for up to 60 mile per hour gusts, but it does look like the overall trend is a gradual weakening. Now, I will mention, while I'm saying, it looks like it's weakening, there's still a lot of heat and moisture, especially as you get closer to the coast and that St. Johns River basin. So that extra moisture, that extra fuel and juice could allow these to kind of fire back up once they get a little bit closer, not only to 95, but even closer to the beaches and things like that. So that'll be something else we'll have to watch for here over the the next 2 or 3 hours, Lee.
Yeah, we just got a storm report from NWS. It says Hilliard. So this is for Hilliard. There is a thunderstorm wind gust of 41 miles an hour. And yep, right over Hilliard. What time was that? We know that it just moved through the Hilliard area, though. So packing a punch, luckily not the 60 mile per hour winds, but that's still a fairly strong wind gust. That, of course, if there's loose branches, can knock them down. And you already talked about the lightweight objects that it can blow around as well. So I'm going to zoom back in to this thunderstorm here. This is why we are streaming severe thunderstorm warning over portions of Nassau County and Duval County. Looks like, does it look like it's kind of falling apart to you somewhat? Kind of separating, like into little chunks.
Yes. Yeah. When they first warned this, it definitely looked like it became outflow dominant, and you had a pretty nice gust front along it.
Right.
Or almost a bow echo to a certain extent. Not really like that now.
Stronger winds usually associated with that.
Yeah, so there was a very defined line right on the leading edge. Not so much like that now. So also hopefully a promising sign.
Yes, definitely. I mean, of course, we're still going to watch this. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 2:45, and so that's at least 10 more minutes. So we're going to stay on with you at least through the end of this severe thunderstorm warning. But it's getting closer to the Jacksonville Airport now.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to look for some cameras for us to check out in this area.
And as you do that, Lee, it's also starting to build southward a little bit as the whole front moves south. So typically, with storms, they're going to move to the area of least resistance. So where there's the most amount of heat and moisture and fuel, that's where the storms are going to go. They're almost like kind of a weird way to say it, but parasites in a sense. Parasites kind of come in, take over. They take all the energy and food or whatnot. That's kind of what storms really do. And there's still plenty of heat and moisture down, on the west sides, Baker County as well. So it's going to continue to build where there is the most energy for the storm to feed off of. So folks, out toward Oakleaf, you're not in the, oh, that's a good shot.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay, yeah, so this is right up by the airport.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
Pull it up.
Yeah. So this is the I-95 and 295 interchange where they're doing all the construction up there just before you get to the airport exit. So this is a great shot, almost due north, and right there to the northwest is where that storm is moving in. So I had mentioned when I drove into work, it was starting to look very dark behind me, and this is a clear case of that.
Sure enough, yeah, you weren't lying. That looks
Yeah.
pretty scary out there. And let's see, what time is it? 2:36. So not the rush hour traffic, luckily, but still there's a lot of people out there on the road, and this is going to get dicey with that heavy rain. This is blinding rain out there too. So if you know anyone driving and they have the ability to pull over as this starts to move into their area, it's a good idea. You can encourage them that now's the time to take the bathroom break or fill up on gas and wait. And I'm going to just kind of give us a big picture again, too, because a lot of you in, say, like St. Johns County or Clay County, no rain yet, but it's on the way. So this whole line, I'm actually going to draw a track on this whole line and give or take a few minutes when I try to time this out for you, because as Ross said, the direction is a little weird because the front is moving south, but these storms are really trying to move east. So I'm going to kind of put it in like an east-southeast direction, but I'm going to try to pull it all the way out towards at least cover, let's say, Green Cove Springs. We'll see how that looks. So Jacksonville Airport, it's moving in right now. Jacksonville Beach. So if you have anyone who's out at the beach, 3:30 looks like it would arrive to the Jacksonville Beach area. Ponte Vedra at 3:41, Middleburg at 4:21, and Green Cove Springs at 4:46 p.m. These storms have the possibility again of being severe. So wherever you are out and about today through the rest of the afternoon and into the early evening hours, if you hear thunder, please head inside, head indoors, because these storms can potentially become severe. Main concern, wind gusts of 60 miles an hour, but also can't rule out hail. Of course, frequent lightning, heavy rain, and the low possibility of a brief spin-up tornado that we're going to watch too. Again, low chance, but not zero. So this is now crossing over into northeast Florida. Southeast Georgia had dealt with a lot of it earlier today, except for places like Brunswick, right along the beach in coastal Southeast Georgia. You kind of missed out on this rain. But also, just reiterating what Ross said earlier too, look north of Valdosta, another storm popping there. Some lightning now going in that storm too. So we could have some storms pop up again behind this line. Once you get hit with this rain, don't think that you're in the clear, because there could be more rain coming behind it.
Yeah, and there's a ton of lightning. I just want to point out in that storm about to move into northern Columbia County, a ton of lightning there just to the west or to the east of Jasper, southwest of Fargo. So a lot of lightning. Looks like some very heavy rainfall in there. Yeah, wow, 150 strikes.
Yeah, that is strengthening for sure. Let me see if I can. That might be a hail core. Let me zoom in.
Also, while you're doing that, Lee, I also want to just mention. So we kind of talked about the tornado risk a little bit as these storms move closer to the coastline. I just kind of looked on the velocity for the severe warn storm moving into northwestern Duval County. With the line kind of breaking up, sometimes you can get notches beginning to develop. I'm not seeing that, at least for the time being, so that is still some good news. It doesn't look like we're getting much of a southeast flow into these updrafts or into these thunderstorms. So for the time being, the tornado risk with any of these storms, but specifically the one into Duval County, looks pretty minimal, at least for the time being.
Thank goodness. Yeah, all right, good. So not seeing a whole lot of rotation. Oh, looks like it got updated. There we go. And that is more of an easterly path, which makes sense. That, I think you and I are a little bit relieved to see that. It looks like they're moving more east. So, and
it looks like they're really focusing just on that one cell.
Yes,
that's
you're right.
About to move toward the airport.
Let's see what their new update says here. So severe thunderstorm warning for central Nassau County and northeastern Duval County until 3:15. So this one goes until 3:15 p.m. Same hazards, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-size hail. It's still moving at 35 miles an hour, but now, as you can see, they put more of an easterly track on it. So I'm going to retrack this one out, and it is a smaller one too.
Yeah, and they just said there was a peak wind gust at the Jacksonville airport of 46 miles per hour, which they also said broke a daily record.
Really?
Yeah, set back in 2022. So
All right, so this is it's not just a typical thunderstorm. It's a
Yeah.
stronger storm with stronger winds. So at this rate, this one cell here that's moving over the airport now, Nassau Village at 2:39 p.m. Jacksonville, I guess that would be the airport, but they have that little cell already out ahead of it.
Yeah.
And then this one's coming in behind it at 2:47 p.m. Yellow Bluff Fort at 3 o'clock, Shady Rest at 3:02, and Mayport at 3:13. And definitely by the time it gets to the beaches too, that's when in the Mayport area, it's so hot, and we'll see what the winds are doing there. So that's where we'd watch out for any sort of rotation once it reaches towards Mayport.
Can you pull up the camera again, Lee?
Yes,
Up there by the
of
airport?
which, where would you like to see? The same one as before?
Yeah, that works. At least,
Ooh.
yeah. So
Good
there we
call.
go. So that looks like it's at least that initial cell that's out ahead of kind of the severe warn portion of it. So it looks like they're in the dry just south of the airport yet. But areas to the north, you're driving right into it. So
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to look at, here's some from 295. Let's just take a little tour around. We'll
So
drive around.
if you're planning on heading out onto either Airport Road or Max Leggett Parkway up near First Coast High School, you're about to be seeing some storms. This is a dark looking camera shot.
Yep, and okay, now we're going to go to 95 back towards the airport again.
Okay.
Let's see if this loads up. Yep, the rain's starting to move in.
Yep.
Heavier rain about to move in though too, so it's already rough out there, but more right behind it. This one's close to Pecan Park. Once it loads. Okay, so starting to kind of camera bounce around, look at the trees blowing around
Yeah.
too, getting windy out there. And let's see, I'm getting more alerts. Okay. A severe thunderstorm warning was expired. Let's see
That
which
was,
one.
I would assume that would be the larger one.
Yeah, we'll wait for our
Back to the
graphics
west.
to update here. But yeah, even as we were just talking about, it's not that clear line,
Yeah.
so it's not easy to track because you have that one cell that's moving over the airport right now that just produced those winds of over 40 miles an hour, and then you have the cell moving in behind it. That's where the lightning is with this cell too. That lightning now pushing to the east, more of a messy situation behind all of that with heavy rain, break in the rain, more heavy rain, another break. So it's kind of just getting disorganized, but it's making for a mess of things as well. Random lightning, off and on rain, and it's heavy rain when it hits. And then, of course, the gusty winds associated with these cells too. And just making sure, Ross, too, you're not seeing any rotation still, because when they become individual cells,
Yeah.
it gets a little bit more nerve-wracking when it comes to rotation.
Yeah, not too much. I think
Okay.
really what I'm only seeing is just kind of the strong winds in that storm that's just about to move through the airport there in northwest Duval County. So not really seeing any rotation, so that's a good sign to see. Also looks like for most folks up around kind of Yulee, Amelia Island, Fernandina Beach, Lee, they'll see some rain and storms, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too bad for those folks who live out that way.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like, heavy rain, some lightning.
Yeah.
But I think you're right with it's not as strong of winds. Likely not as much risk of hail. We'll still watch it there too. Kingsland now getting a flash of lightning and some rain. I'll move up for our friends in southeast Georgia at the beaches. So it looks like it's moving over towards St. Mary's and eventually Cumberland Island. I think Brunswick, St. Simon's Island, Jekyll just missed the rain, stayed dry. And let's zoom out and see what everything looks like behind it. So looks like most of southeast Georgia, places like Waycross, okay right now. Of course, we'll still watch for all of this rain out to the west to see if that moves into southeast Georgia. Looks like on its trajectory, it'd be closer to the state border, the state line, kind of like this storm system right here. Probably right along the, depending on where the front is, the leading edge of that front.
Would you be able to put a track to see just kind of when it'll hit the I-10 area? Because
Yes.
you're starting to see in the latest radar scan some pops of reflectivity showing that the rain's not too far off from some of those locations, especially in Baker County.
Okay, let's see. This is kind of hard. It's kind of, as you said, moving to the
Yeah.
east, but southeast. Let me know if you think I should readjust. Oh, it's not letting me go further than this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to redraw that. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Back.
And it doesn't have to, it could honestly be a pretty straight line across there too, just to show kind of the front, because it is broken a good bit.
Let's see, because it's got to go to the.
Yeah.
Go like this. That's my best guess.
Let's see what it. So it didn't give too many places out west. I was hoping for somewhere in like McClenny
yeah, I'm
or
gonna
Sanderson.
cut out the beaches. Yeah, give me one second. Let's redo this only for I-10. Go here.
Because obviously, yes, we are focusing on the severe thunderstorm warning for the Jacksonville area and Duval County, but there's still some storms that are going to pack a punch further off to the west. So yeah, that was a good one. So White Springs, 252. So there, McClenny, Sanderson, those locations are going to be shortly after 3 o'clock, so within about the next 15 to 20 minutes. Oakleaf on the west side, 324. So, another 40 minutes or so. Orange Park, 330. So, just about 45 minutes until then. So does it look like it's speeding up a little bit, Lee?
Kind of. It does.
Just based off of how fast it was moving earlier today?
Right. Let's put this back in a loop. I'm going to do a 30-minute loop.
Okay.
This is 45. Same thing though. Yeah, look, it feels like it jumped. Do you see that? Like it kind of quickly kind of went to the south.
Yeah.
And to the southeast, of course. But you're right. That is. You can see how the lightning has really started to ramp up in that one cell that you're tracking, and I can actually do an individual cell track for that too, because it's this one with all this lightning that you're watching, right?
Yeah.
Looks like it's kind of heading towards Sanderson. So you go 3:36 p.m.
Okay. So you might see rain before 3:30, but that actual, that big cell with all the lightning well off to the northwest of Sanderson, going to be about another 45 minutes there until 3:50 for McClenny, Maddox until 3:58. So we'll see if it maintains or holds on to that strength. But I would say besides the severe warning storm over Duval County, that'll be the next big one that we'll have to watch for here, just due to how long it's kept that, heavy lightning for quite a while here.
Definitely. And then let's zoom back into this severe thunderstorm warning. Also, we just got a marine warning on this too. So boaters, if you know anyone who's out on a boat, charter boat fishing captains, anyone who just gets to enjoy a Wednesday out on the water, it's time to start heading back to shore immediately, because you're going to collide with this storm as it moves out towards the beaches. So let's see. There's this. I'm going to put a track right here on this one. This is the one that brought 46 mile per hour wind to the airport. And so that looks like it will get to Little Talbot Island at 3:06 p.m. So right after 3 o'clock, that one hits the beach. And then, of course, there are cells behind it. So then this one right over the airport, also with the potential of strong winds, that could move into the Mayport area around 3:21 p.m., Atlantic Beach around 3:27 p.m. So really between 3 o'clock and 3:30, the Jacksonville beaches will be getting this. Already Yulee getting some of that rain that's about to move over into Fernandina Beach as well.
You're also starting to notice, I don't know if you can tell so much on our radar. Can you zoom out and show the whole line a little bit?
Yes.
You don't have to zoom out real far, but it's becoming, there's a nice outflow almost right along I-10 or just to the north.
See. Can we see the outflow?
So you see the little pops over on the west side of Duval County. That's pretty much right along the outflow. So so those are starting to pop right along it. So the outflow is almost moving exactly north to south. Out of the storms here. So
that would be the development where that would be the line where you start to see these downpours start to pop.
Yeah.
So right along I-10 now that we'll have to watch out for. And that is still quite a storm back there. I bet there's some small hail possible in that cell that's moving into Columbia County.
Yeah, National Weather Service hasn't said a whole lot about that, but there certainly is a lot of activity out there.
Something to watch for sure. I'm going to also look around for some more cameras. And once again, too, just see if I can pull up the big view, because we are thinking about you still in St. Augustine. We know some of you have beautiful weather. Waycross, it looks absolutely gorgeous out there. But then why we are on is for places like Baldwin, downtown Jacksonville. When that camera wants to load, it's taking its time. But it looks pretty dark in some of these places across Duval and Nassau County. And of course, you still got your cloud cover out there too, in portions of St. Augustine, and we'll have to watch to see if these storms make it to you, because they're moving east, but again, the whole system moving to the south, so eventually it will move in to those of you in St. Johns County, maybe Putnam County, and Flagler County too. But As Ross mentioned, the severe storm risk, it goes down for the farther southeast you go. I'm going to pull back up that SPC graphic again too, just to kind of show where the yellow, that's slight risk, which an easier way to think about it is a level 2 out of 5. So Storm Prediction Center gives us 5 levels for a severe weather risk, with 5 out of 5 being the worst. Everyone in green, that's a level 1, the lowest risk of severe weather, but not 0. So while we're watching it, obviously we have a severe thunderstorm warning out there right now, which was included in the level 2 area, the yellow, the level 2 out of 5 slight risk.
And if you're just joining us, I know Lee and I have been talking for a little bit here, so if you just happen to hop on the stream, we are on not only for the potential risk, but for the severe thunderstorm warning that is in northern Duval County that goes from now until 3:15. So we have about another 25 minutes left on that. It's warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. I would not be surprised, though, just because of how long they have this warning in place, if they do either shorten it up or allow it to expire, at least prematurely. Yeah,
because you can even see on the back end of that severe thunderstorm warning, the worst of the weather's over. They warn this for the wind and hail, I guess, small hail, but same story here. It looks like the storms that would really produce that severe weather quickly moving almost out of the polygon now, quickly moving through the polygon.
And even in that last radar scan, now it's almost completely through the airport.
Right.
And it's just almost completely over 95. So, I'll be surprised if this warning lasts the whole way to 3:15. I would suspect perhaps by 3 o'clock or 3:05, they might be thinking about cutting it short, or maybe just extending it further eastward if it maintains its strength. But at least based on its location, it's, starting to move out of the area for some of those folks in Nassau County.
All right, so this is Pecan Park. Got some rain out there. We're going to do a quick little drive around of our cameras. Let's see what else we can find here. Let's go towards the 295 interchange. If I can get the camera to load for you all. But same story, it's just a rough drive right now on the interstate for a lot of people on 95 and 295 up by the airport. And then of course that's going to continue to move towards the beaches. Well, that's a shaky camera too. We got the wind out there. Again, the severe thunderstorm warnings issued for the strong winds, possibly up to 60 miles an hour.
So I wonder if we have some sort of crash or something up there that those folks had their four-ways on. Okay, this is a nice shot. Wow, that's a lot of spray.
Yeah, that is. I am
not envious.
Don't envy them. Yes, exactly. Rough drive out there right now. Let's see. Let's go here. Dunn Avenue. Looks like there's some raindrops on the screen there. And then down 295. I wonder what the James Point Bridge looks like. Let's go over towards the James Point, get a look. Because I don't think it's that in that area yet. Yep, looks okay. Well, I'll just show you. And then eventually we're, of course, going to keep an eye on the Mayport area, too, as those storms start to get closer. Oh, check this out. This is going to be loading up the Fort Caroline camera. Kind of the same as downtown Jacksonville, where you just have the dark clouds, which we originally saw over the airport, and now the airport getting hit by that rain, as you can talk. You saw it with your own eyes, Ross.
Yes, that's a very good shot. The Fort Caroline camera that we have here out on the water on the river always gives a good shot off to the west and northwest of the incoming storms. So yeah, great shot there. You can pretty much see where the rain shaft is, or the downdrafts on that eastern side or the far right side of the camera there. And then those, ominous, eerie-looking clouds starting to move in over downtown Jax. Based on radar, though, it's going to rain. It's going to storm a little bit, but most of the downtown area shouldn't get it too bad. And they're fairly small cells for the most part.
So let's see. So this is what downtown Jacksonville looks like. You would think you're going to get some rain, of course. And when we go over to radar now, you'll see that the worst of the weather to the north of downtown Jacksonville. Now, yes, it does look like there are a few of those cells that will come in and clip the area. I wish I could point it out here.
They're kind of just all isolated to scattered storms right along the line.
Yeah, so not everyone is going to receive rain, too. That's the big point, too. We're not promising that you're going to see rain. We're just here because those who are seeing rain and hearing thunder, it can becomes severe. It can be much more than you bargained for. So that's why we're watching this with you. We cannot guarantee you'll see rain, but if you hear thunder, we ask that you get inside and to shelter quickly because of the possibility of these becoming severe. So we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Nassau and Duval counties. It goes until 3:15, but you can see the worst of the weather really kind of moving east out of that now, and it will soon push into the beaches. So heads up to Mayport and to Atlantic Beach, and of course Fort Caroline, where we were just watching too. Looks like some of those cells moving in towards you. I'm gonna now also go to the west because we were watching a strong cell. Yeah, still a pretty decent cell there. Lots of lightning. Let me get a lightning track on this. But this is going to continue to move towards I-10, probably towards the Sanderson area. So that's what we'll have to watch out for Sanderson next. 131 strikes in that area there, so associated with that cell and that storm. And then besides that, big picture, those of you who live along I-10, you're getting the rain next. The storms are on the way. Those of you who live in St. Augustine, it's going to take a while for the rain to get to you. Hopefully it won't be as strong once it gets there, but we're still going to be here watching it, of course, for you. And it still has the possibility of becoming strong to severe. You are under that level 1 risk. So right now, the bulk of the rain moving from the state border to the east and southeast. And Ross, I am going to put like let's see, it's 3 o'clock. Let's put a 3-hour time lapse on this because I feel like the rain has become, I feel like there's more rain. Yeah, you can see how, look at all that lightning that exploded as it really approached the state border. So it was a very strong storm when it was north of Valdosta, and then it kind of went below severe standards and criteria until it reached the state border, moved into Nassau County and then Duval County, and it strengthened there. Now that's weakening again. But of course, we're watching that other cell that's heading towards Sanderson.
Yeah, and I would say if I had to pick out one area to watch that's likely going to see some very, very heavy rain, potentially some stronger storms outside of the one that's already severe warned, I would say the extreme west side of Duval County and the McClenny area, based on how the line is currently set up, the storms moving within the line. It looks like that whole cluster out in northern Columbia County is probably headed almost exactly toward Anderson, like you said, Lee, but perhaps even more specifically McClenny and the far west sides, even west of Oakleaf, could see some very, very heavy storms. So that cell just to the south of St. George, that's going to be headed into the south or onto the west side, and Lee is drawn here for you as well. That storm out in Columbia County headed that way.
Yeah, so maybe McClenny around 348, Baldwin around 403, Oakleaf around 430-ish, and Mandarin around 445-ish.
Yep.
And then we're getting another, let's see what the National Weather Service is saying. It's a special weather statement. And so it's for Nassau, Baker, Northern Columbia, Duval. They must just kind of be talking about the whole
thing
line.
is all. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up the severe weather statement. Let me see if I can get that up for everyone real quick. But, they're just talking about how these are strong storms that through 4 o'clock, wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour and half-inch hail. Wow. Okay. So wind gusts of 50 miles an hour and half-inch hail possible in all of these.
So that whole cluster in Baker, Charlton, Columbia County, all included in that special weather statement, it looks like.
And I'm just going to try to pull it up on our screen here so everyone can get a good visual. It is hard to do this not on the desktop, I have to admit.
That is a good sign, though, that these storms are staying at least below the severe criteria. So
definitely, instead of issuing a severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, so although they are strong, there's going to be heavy rain. There's going to be some gusty winds with it. It's not to the point of, causing damage or, extreme safety hazards to you out there. Besides, if you are driving out there on the roads and you're driving through a very heavy downpour, just be mindful and cautious of that. But otherwise, the majority of these are staying just below the severe criteria for the time being here. And there, the west side is starting to get in on a little action. So pretty much from 295 west along I-10 in Duval County, starting to see some action. So that is right where Lee and I had mentioned where that outflow boundary was starting to push southward. A lot of those storms are firing up right along it. So McClenny's, currently seeing some rain and storms right now, and that will continue to build to the south-southeast over, about the next 2 hours or so. So is that the...
The black polygon there, that is a special weather statement.
Okay.
So that, as you're talking about, those areas along I-10, winds of 50 miles an hour and half-inch hail. And it's on that track. That's that one cell you kept talking about with all of that lightning in that east-southeasterly direction, heading that way.
Yep.
So...
Do you happen to have a futurecast, Lee?
Yes. Do you hear that thunder?
Yeah.
We're in downtown Jacksonville right now, and it just started thundering. Okay. Do you want the graph or the HRRR?
Whichever you feel likely.
Honestly, both. At this point, we should look at both.
And both will probably be, so when the storms are actually happening, the models are typically kind of an hour behind at this point. So, when you're kind of in that 6-hour window of when the storms are happening and stuff, they're perhaps a little behind. So here,
there. So this is
a perfect example.
We're going to be a little nerdy with you. So we have many models, but I'm looking at 2 high resolution models, which is what we look at to get an hour by hour when you're within 24 to 72 hours out from a system. And as Ross said right there, 4 o'clock, way behind. But Ross, you talk. I'll try to advance this to get a better look.
So let's get it up to about where we are now.
How about there?
Yeah, so this is even more so 3 hours kind of behind, but this is painting a good picture of what it currently looks like now. So as we go towards 4, 5, 6 p.m., you'll notice the line will shift further south a little bit. It does look like maybe some extra energy comes up out of the Gulf, Lee.
Yes, and you know what? We're seeing that on radar right now that I can actually show. Let's see how this continues to take it. It looks like this one's frozen, so the data's probably coming in. Let's jump over to graph and see what graph is showing. Oop, we're way ahead. Hold on. Okay, so this is the graph. Kind of, it did the whole trend where it falls apart right here, but it's not enough. It's not showing enough of that. And it kind of continues to have it fall apart. But you're right, that energy that moves back over Lake City later on this evening.
Yeah, so that might be just an area to watch. Although, Jacksonville and the 95 corridor, where we're seeing our storms right now, and we expect them to fizzle out. Perhaps a little bit of some extra moisture, extra energy comes up out of the Gulf later this evening, closer to dinner time. So
you see, look at that.
So south of Tallahassee, you can see that.
Some of those storms that are moving in. So that's true. I guess if it's moving east enough, it will hit parts of our area.
So all those gators down in Gainesville need to know there's at least perhaps a chance for some storms to still head their way tonight.
If you have any, if your children are students there, siblings, make sure that they know for any Wednesday night activities. Looks like this put a track. I don't know if it's actually going 35 miles an hour, but it would. If it is, it's like the other storms, it would be in Gainesville around 6:16. But Palatka, if it held together, and the models showed it kind of falling apart before it reached there, but if it held together, it'd be Palatka at 7:30 and St. Augustine at 8 o'clock. So I think our takeaway for our southern and our southeastern counties is that you are still a couple hours away. I think more into the evening hours, we will be watching for you.
So would you feel confident in saying, most of Duval County and at least the Jacksonville Metro, most of our storm threat's going to pass by, let's say, 5 o'clock?
Yes, I absolutely would feel comfortable.
And then areas west, so let's say southern Columbia County, Union, Bradford, down towards Gainesville, Putnam, our more southern spots, you could still see storms as late as 7, maybe remnants of storms up until 8.
Yeah,
at the latest.
That's if we are to believe the models and the trends, then yes, I think that's a very good guess as to the timing.
It looks like they shrank down that warning again.
Yes.
Did you notice that?
60 mile per hour winds, penny-sized hail still till 3:15. Is that what it says? Let's see, 3:15.
Yeah, so they just canceled it for most of Nassau County, or if not all of it.
Let's zoom in. Oh my goodness. Okay, zoom. So moving into Mayport now. You know what? We have a Mayport camera that I'm going to go find as well. But that's a look. We hear the thunder shaking the building here in downtown Jacksonville. And so the rain not quite here, but it's on the way.
Yeah, I would say the Mayport cam, Fort Caroline cam, and any of our downtown cameras should have a pretty good shot, especially looking west here.
Jackson, are you back there?
I'm here.
I have a message from meteorologist Robert Speda. He was wondering if it's possible to do a VX call because he's at Redding Point, and so it's getting a little crazy out there, so we could get a boots on the ground look at these storms.
We are trying to set that up.
Okay. Perfect. I'm going to reply to him real quick, Ross, if you want to keep talking about this.
Yeah, so Mayport, East Arlington, if you live out near Queens Harbor even, you're about to see some pretty heavy storms begin to move on in. So this is pretty much the severe warned storm just about to move out of the polygon there and head towards Mayport. So if you're having, a late lunch out at Singleton's or Safe Harbor,
Yum.
Stay inside. Or if you were out on the boat at all, make sure you're coming in off the water. Again, Lee mentioned that marine warning. So that is over towards Talbot Island, the Mayport area, Atlantic Beach, even going to be getting in on some of these storms here very, very shortly because that storm up near Fort Caroline Road is going to quickly move toward Atlantic and Neptune Beach very, very shortly. And then further off to...
That's Mayport.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good shot of Mayport. You can see the rain coming down over on the left side of the camera there.
Oh, hold on. I'm about to pull up Fort Caroline.
Lee's got all the camera shots here.
Just taking everyone on a tour. Oh, the rain is coming down in Mayport. And there's... the Fort Caroline. And then, sorry, you were saying I can drive the radar somewhere, was it south that you were going? Or where?
Well, yeah, I was just going to zoom in. I was going from east to west, so looking back down downtown on the southwest sides of the metro. Those storms quickly building in. So, yeah, you can see them there. Orange Park, down toward NAS Jacks. They're starting to see some storms. North sides of Oakleaf.
Get a little bit closer. Zoom in. Yeah, so this is, and that's still quite a cell, still lots of lightning, still you get some of the darker reds popping up in that cell that's heading towards Sanderson every once in a while, which could be a sign of some very small hail associated with that too. And I'll see if in the Oakleaf area, if I can find some cameras too.
Could you just zoom in quick to
Yes.
Just Jacksonville or just Duval County? Yeah, that's good.
Give me a second. So... yeah, there's Duval. So there's all that heavy rain. Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, and very shortly behind that Jacksonville Beach.
And so it looks like just north of NAS Jacks, storm coming in across there. It'll be interesting to see, do these storms kind of fire back up a little bit stronger or intensify once they move over the St. Johns River?
Yes, that is a good question.
Because I believe river temperatures, Tim would know this better, but I think they're at 83 or 84. If not higher, are they higher than that? Do you know, Lee?
We can look it up. Let's see.
I know they're in the 80s.
I wonder if you updated the coastal.
Nonetheless, river temperatures are starting to get quite warm, so we can often see these storms move over the St. Johns and actually kind of use that as an extra fuel base due to the warm, moist river waters there. So that'll be interesting to see if they kind of fire up and strengthen as they pass over and move into. What area would that be? Kind of San Marco, kind of down toward Emerson Street, really.
84, you got
84, okay. Yeah, so river waters certainly quite warm here for the middle of May.
Yeah, definitely. So you're mentioning San Marco, and of course this is some heavy rain, so we'll have to watch out for the possibility of flooding. Luckily, though, it is so broken up. So it's not going to be a long duration heavy rain event. Unfortunately, more rain behind it, so it's going to rain, then you get a break, and then it's going to rain again. But hopefully, it's not enough to cause any sort of
quick
flooding.
Moving.
Yes, quick moving is a big point. Look at that severe thunderstorm warning. So we're still on for this severe thunderstorm warning, but the storm is out of the warning.
Yes,
area.
I'm very surprised they have not. At this point, canceled it, or at least extend the warning to go along with where the storm is currently at, because. Anyone who's currently in that warned polygon is not seeing severe weather right now. It has at least passed through. So
just know you are in the clear if you're in the Jacksonville airport area.
Yeah.
The worst of the weather has moved. We're not saying you're not clear as in done with the rain, because as you can see right behind you, more is on the way. But what that cell that the severe thunderstorm warning was issued for has cleared on out, and it's over Mayport. But luckily, it looks like it's not really. We at least don't have a severe thunderstorm warning for the wind gusts. Let's see if I can get the winds.
It doesn't look like those sea breeze collisions that can happen near the coast are currently happening at Mayport. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It looks like we just have a pretty dominant westerly flow here, so the tornado risk continues to be very, very low. It's not zero, but very low here.
Yeah, very
wind
low.
gusts. Okay.
Mayport 48.
Wow.
Strong. So that is still a strong cell
Yes.
moving through, for sure. So frequent lightning, gusty winds, the heavy blinding rain, all of that. We have Robert. Can we pull him up?
Yeah. You hear him?
I can't hear him. I don't think we have IFB. Do you have IFB over there, Ross?
I do not, but I can go grab it. If you want to just pop
Okay.
Lee up real quick, and I will go grab,
Sure.
grab an earpiece. I'll be right back.
I see he's at Reading Point too. So I also just got a report from a friend who's out in Atlantic Beach who said the wind is crazy. And so you can see that here too. Your wind gusts right now, 48 at Mayport, 32 at the Jacksonville Airport. So these storms are strong, but they're really packing a punch with the wind. It's the strong wind out there that has people perking up. So maybe you are tuning in now too because you either heard thunder or you hear the wind or you hear the branches scraping across your windows or you see trees flying not flying out of the ground, but the leaves flying all over the place. So these cells, although it's a bit broken, these individual cells can really pack a punch when it comes to wind gusts of over 40 miles an hour possible. And of course, we're going to keep an eye on this cell too with all of that lightning that's still getting closer and closer to Sanderson. You guys let me know when we're good to call Robert up too.
Yeah, Robert, can you hear me out there? There he is.
Hey!
Hello, Robert. You look a little wet and rainy out there.
You know, classic. Just there was a storm, and I decided, you know what, need to get out in it. Yeah, I'm actually at Reading Point right now, so this is just along the St. Johns River. I just heard Lee talking about, the Fort Caroline. Both of you were talking about that Fort Caroline weather station and kind of out towards Mayport, which is basically in that direction. And you can see behind me, you really can't see much. I mean, it's heavy rain. I got thunder kind of rumbling out in that way. We just also had that other line come across the river here too, which, it probably got a solid about 20, 25, 30 mile per hour wind gust. Looks like that part's back. But a lot, really, turbulent cloud cover. Good stuff. Very photogenic, but it seems like that bow echo line I was a little concerned about kind of lost at least some of it.
Yeah.
Its steam, you two think.
Robert, what was it like? Were you out there before the rain hit, and what was it like as it moved in?
I think, yeah, right on the leading edge of that gust front. I got a good gust front. That was right before it hit. All the trees, leaves flying everywhere, all that good stuff. Not too crazy, but I did just see. It looks like in that exact direction I was just pointing you here. Mayport's ASOS looks like they just picked up a 48 mile per hour wind gust. So, yeah, that would probably be equivalent of what I had here about 20 minutes ago when that line first came through.
I mean, still, if that's, Robert, I just got a text from a friend who lives out in Atlantic Beach who said, oh my gosh, this wind. So I know you said it wasn't too crazy, but we were hearing that gust front out ahead of this is at least whipping around.
And that's definitely from my perspective of things. I think crazy is a solid good hurricane.
He goes out in hurricanes, guys. So.
But this is one of those spots where I expected the wind to kind of be high since it's coming in straight from the west. So you got kind of Brown River, St. Johns River right here. And I can tell you, it was coming across. There's actually a boater out there in like a little deck boat. I'm sure they are not having a good day right now. Oh my goodness. I did hear you say there was a special marine warning out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really say right now, it looks like that specific line is already past this area and downtown as well. Is that the atmosphere really turbulent? I think we're getting kind of, and I can see it on the radar, kind of different little outflows smacking into each other, and you really can kind of see that there. It's just, it doesn't feel like the clouds are all moving in one direction. You got a lot of different kind of waves coming in at the same time. What do you guys think?
And Robert, I just had a quick question too. When it moved through, they've been talking about the possibility of small hail. Did you either notice like what would have been melted hail or anything like that?
Not in this specific spot. Yeah, I did see that, it's some of those larger cloud tops, especially west of here. But I did not see anything remotely resemble hail. It's just a good short time heavy rain. Nice gust front that came through this specific spot. From that cell, it looks like that's out towards Mayport now.
Yeah, and Robert, you mentioned the different kind of outflow boundaries and how all the clouds are looking like they're kind of moving different directions. You can almost see that on radar here as well. The outflow really jumping off to the south, and you're having isolated cells popping off over the south side here now, over downtown Jack, down toward Orange Park. So much further south from where the initial line or bow echo was kind of beginning to form. So certainly what you're saying is right in line with what radar reflectivity is also showing us out there this afternoon.
I'm just going to try to see if I can look towards downtown here. I mean, kind of got those thicker clouds out that way, but it looks like, at least for this area, it's definitely starting to spread out and collapse a little bit. But, I'll let you guys talk about all the stuff out west, because it seems like we got more stuff firing up west of Jacksonville now, right?
It looks like they just dropped that warning.
Yeah.
So they did just let it
nice.
run out and then expire at 3:15.
And what I'm going to show you guys, too, on the screen, I know Robert can't see it, but this is a live lookout from Neptune Beach. Look at all that rain that's out to the left, that's on the north side of Neptune. Smart people right there who are starting to run inside. You can kind of see the sea oats blowing around, too, on the sand dunes. Starting to get gusty out there at the beaches, too. So what Robert just told you is what's coming your way. And now that live picture from Robert right there, the crazy clouds, that will be, what'd you say, Robert, like 20 minutes behind? You said it's been about 20 minutes since it moved through?
Yeah, that same line basically started here and then ran up the river, and that's what they're seeing out there right now near Neptune Beach. So, yeah, it started here about 20, 30 minutes ago, and it's been cruising out there towards the west. So hopefully that'll kind of stabilize the atmosphere out here so we don't see anything too crazy after that, right?
Well, good stuff, Robert. We appreciate you hopping on with us, always having our eyes and ears out there wherever the storms are at across the First Coast.
You are always on our side, Robert.
Yes.
Chasing the storms.
Of course. If I see anything else out here, I'll let you all know.
Alrighty, sounds good, Robert. Thank you again. So again, that was meteorologist Robert Spetta. He was out there right
Kind of near Fort Caroline.
Yeah, near Fort Caroline Road.
Ready Point.
Yep, Reading Point. So looking and watching for those storms that move through not only the East Arlington area, but the Mayport area. Lee had a great camera up showing Neptune Beach, looking out toward those storms now beginning to move offshore and out over the waters. Yeah, there it is. What a good-looking shot.
Woo! Run!
Yeah, and
Get inside!
the folks are running in.
Oh, yeah, because you can kind of see the raindrops just a little bit starting on that camera every once in a while. Oh, yeah, so, oh, man. And with the lightning, though, that's dangerous. I know that they, our Zach Wilcox did a story on lightning detectors out of the beaches now, so I'm sure if they're up and running, they would be going off. But let's actually get a look again at any sort of lightning out by the beaches, because that is a dangerous place to be. So yeah, there's lightning moving in, mainly in the downtown area. We still hear the thunder here. Looks like there's a flash of lightning off the coast. It looks like there's no redevelopment of lightning right over the beaches, so that's good. And let's just take a look at velocity just to see what we see out here. Because we were worried at the coast. If it was going to spin, it was going to be right at the coast. Not anything concerning. So that's good. Good news there. Again, though, those of you in the downtown Jacksonville area, a lot of people working. San Marco, Riverside, looks like one of the stronger storms right over you. Let's zoom in real quick and get a closer look there. And some lightning, some heavy rain that's going to continue to move to the east and the northeast, or excuse me, the southeast, goodness. So the east and the southeast, eventually moving to the south side of Jacksonville. Wider view here, Oakleaf, you're getting the rain now. Baldwin's getting the rain. Sanderson, we've been talking about you. We've had a lot of redevelopment or development ahead of the main storms. That's why Oakleaf is now already getting the rain. But this one cell that we've been tracking, not quite there. It almost looks like it's going to stay north of Sanderson now, Ross. I feel like it's moved more to the east rather than to the southeast.
Yeah, it looks like McClenny, Baldwin, probably the best chance to see that. It's also interesting to note, with the outflow boundary kind of pushing further off to the south and you're seeing those isolated storms developing along it, is that kind of undercutting this cell off to the west a little bit. It may not, but it'll be an interesting thing to see, whether it maintains its strength the whole way to, to the east and southeast, or, does it kind of start to dwindle down a little bit? And it looks like Lee's camera just overheated a little bit.
You can take it away.
Well, do you want to keep going here, or since...
So I was going to ask Jackson, who is in charge of all of our digital streaming. We don't have a severe thunderstorm warning anymore. We do have another stream coming up at 4 o'clock. So now that my camera's overheated, Jackson, what's the move? Wrap it up? Okay,
Nice.
So just to let you all know, we are going to be back at 4 o'clock?
Yep.
Yes? Okay, so we'll be back at 4. If there's a severe thunderstorm warning, we're going to be back on as well earlier if these go severe. We'll watch that one storm right there that you have that's tracking towards McClenny by 3:37 p.m. But for the meantime, we're going to go get some water, rest our voices, and be back and good to go by 4 o'clock, right?
Sounds good. All right. Take care, folks.